Welcome back to Newsmax Now. I'm Miranda Khan. Topping your headlines, the European Union may spend $760 million in humanitarian aid to deal with the refugee crisis. EU leaders will meet Monday for a summit to focus on the migration issue. The Gulf Cooperation Council declares Hezbollah a terrorist group. The council made the move in response to militia recruitment, which it calls a threat to Gulf security. A double case of pneumonia lands country icon Merle Haggard in the hospital. The singer was touring, but doctors want him to take a month off the road so he can recover. And imagine being 100 feet up in the air and then this happens. Oh, before you know it, you're spinning out of control. Look at that. Oh, wait for it. And you crash. That's exactly what happened to a filmmaker's drone. That is, in Texas. The drone managed to survive with only minor injuries, John.
I've had nightmares just like that video. Now back to the 2016 presidential race. Senator Marco Rubio appears to be in denial about his campaign and his actual chance of winning the GOP nomination. So far, he has only won Minnesota, although he is banking on the winner-take-all primary in his home state of Florida. Despite his less than stellar performances, Rubio argued both Donald Trump and Ted Cruz underperformed last night.
The bottom line from last night is it was supposed to be Ted Cruz's night. It was not. Donald Trump, 65% of the people who voted against him, and that's the problem he has. He can never bring this party together. There will never be a time when our supporters are asking us to make way for Donald Trump.
Rubio must win the Florida primary if he has any chance of staying in the race and taking out Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's delegate growth has hit a slow point. Prior to last night, Trump had won about 2/3 of the delegates available. Now, despite Trump's wins on Super Tuesday, he has less than half of all the delegates that have been awarded thus far. Cruz has about 31%, Rubio has 21%. The Washington Examiner writes today that it used to seem plausible that Trump might clinch the GOP nomination by the end of March if he kept winning so quickly. Now, even if he won every single delegate going forward, he could not clinch a majority of the delegates until April 19th, when New York votes, his home state. And if none of the candidates get enough delegates to win, well, then we have this brokered convention to talk about.
And for more on that possibility, let's welcome in today's roundtable. We have former Lieutenant Governor of New York, Betsy McCaughey, and Ron Christie, CEO of Christie Strategies, and former Legislative Director of the House Budget Committee under Governor John Kasich. Thank you both for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Betsy, can Marco Rubio win Florida, and how badly does he need this?
Well, he would have to win Florida to even be slightly plausible. But the fact is, the same delusional egos that allow mere mortals to run for president often kid them, and they allow them to kid themselves into staying in longer than they're actually viable. So at some point, Marco Rubio is no longer going to appear viable. And as for the slowing down of Donald Trump's delegate collection, that's simply because Ted Cruz won such a big chunk with Texas. It's mere arithmetic. There's nothing slowing down about Donald Trump's campaign.
All right, I want to ask you both a hypothetical question about this idea of a broker convention. I don't think it's possible just based on how much Trump support he has thus far. People will go crazy. But which do you think would be the worst case scenario for those in the anti-Trump crowd? Actually having Trump be the nominee, or this broker convention and potentially risking a third-party run from Donald Trump? Ron, let's start with you.
Well, I think the worst scenario, the worst outcome for the Republican Party would be to have a brokered convention. You know, whether or not you support Donald Trump's candidacy, whether or not you agree with his vision and some of the controversial statements he's made, he's also had millions of people from around this country who have voted for him.
Right.
And so I understand that Senator Rubio has gone on the attack. He's gone on the offensive. My guy in this race, Governor John Kasich, is plotting straight ahead, trying to win Ohio, trying to have a positive, uplifting message. I think a brokered convention could really throw the GOP into chaos.
Betsy, what about you?
Let me point out that I don't have a horse in this race, but all of this chatter about the Republican Party being in trouble is the mere chatter of the political class. The fact is, more people are coming out to participate in Republican primaries than ever before. The Republican Party is winning big time already simply by having Donald Trump blasting out the excitement for the whole nation.
I want to play a clip that was on MSNBC recently about Trump expanding the base of the party, expanding the GOP voter rolls. Let's take a look.
David Duke and people like that, they come out of out from under the rocks all the time around this time this year. It got nothing to do with Donald Trump. We all Americans. I think we need to stop with all the racist stuff and the race baiting. Like me and my friend right here, we just met today. We was talking. You know, we got to stop with the racist stuff and this, that. We all Americans, man. And nobody paying David Duke no mind.
Clearly, let me just be clear here. Obviously, the majority of Donald Trump supporters are not African American. I don't know how many African Americans were in that building, but that is one person that we have chosen to cut that sound from.
The reaction from Tamron Hall from MSNBC is somewhat priceless there. She just can't believe there is a black guy at a Donald Trump rally. There's thousands.
I don't think it's that she can't believe. She was saying it's not representative of the majority of the people that are in the crowd. That's what she said.
Well, I think the media oftentimes tries to distill everything into, a binary decision. But the point being, there is more than just all these fervent white racists showing up to vote for Donald Trump. Trump is expanding the party roles, and that clip identifies that. Ron, we got thousands of people leaving the Democratic Party in places like Massachusetts. Can Donald Trump actually do what everybody says, including the RNC, after 2012 was impossible, and that is get these voters, get them excited, and get them out to the polls to win a general election?
Well, look, there's no question if you look at nearly 20,000 voters who either unenrolled as becoming Democrats or switched flat out to becoming Republicans, I think that was tilting the balance towards Donald Trump in Massachusetts, which I find unprecedented. What I also find unprecedented is the enthusiasm is not just limited to Donald Trump. Governor Kasich, when he was reelected in Ohio, he won 26% of the African-American vote, which is unprecedented, and he got 86 out of the 88 counties in the entire state of Ohio. So Donald Trump is not just the only candidate in this race who can generate momentum and enthusiasm. There are others, but there's no question that Trump has definitely gotten the base out, and as Betsy has said, gotten thousands, if not millions of people who otherwise may have sat on the sidelines to go out and vote.
Well, I want to talk about Governor Kasich, though, real quick, because you brought him up. He hasn't won one primary yet, and yet when you talk to a lot of Democrats, that's the person that they fear the most. So what's going on?
Well, as they should, Miranda. If you look at the most recent WMUR poll, it shows Governor Kasich better than Donald Trump, better than Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz, beating Hillary Clinton in a head-on-head. And as a Republican, that's what I want. I want the most experienced, the most viable candidate who can receive our nomination and go on to win the general election. And for me, and for many, many, many others around, it's Governor John Kasich.
Well, Betsy, last minute to you to respond to that.
I want to address the issue of race because Hillary Clinton is sweeping the South, but she's doing it with poisonous lies about race, telling large audiences of blacks that they are the victims of systemic discrimination and racism. She is labeling the whites of this country and other people as racist. This is a lie. She says that blacks are poor and blacks are more heavily incarcerated because of racial discrimination. These are unsubstantiated statements that are patently false. And if Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Party is trying to label the Republicans as racist, then Hillary Clinton ought to disavow Al Sharpton, because Al Sharpton is the David Duke of the Democratic Party.
All right, there's a talking point for the Trump campaign as they continue to try and turn more of their attention towards Hillary Clinton as opposed to the rest of the GOP candidates. Guys, thanks so much for being with us. Betsy McCaughey, Ron Christie, great discussion, folks.
Thanks.
Still to come here on Newsmax Now. Trump says his business experience will make America great again. Does he have a point? We'll discuss it. And don't forget to stay tuned to Newsmax TV. We will bring you live coverage immediately following the GOP debate tomorrow night. That begins at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Newsmax Now continues right after this.